I'm here with ZachaREEE, currently still with FaZe Clan, and we've just done talking about Overwatch. Now we're going to talk about Valorant. But of course, your experience as an Overwatch player sort of informs how you approach Valorant, I would imagine. So you entered with a bunch of Overwatch players. Did you know each other beforehand when you got going?
We all knew of each other, but I mean, obviously, we weren't like all the same level of like friend wise. I think at the beginning, like I knew Corey and Raucus more than I knew Baby Bay at the beginning. Like I had played with Corey like way back when, before I was even like on a signed team, and I played with Raucus in World Cup 2018. But I had never really had like experience in like a team environment with Baby Bay. So, but yeah, we definitely all knew of each other, and we were playing with each other in the beta of Valorant.
Right. Now, I had this theory that, theoretically speaking, and I mean generally, everyone hit the ground running quite well from the top tier level in Overwatch. Like if you played Overwatch League, you probably did pretty well in Valorant, especially if you were like a decent player by the time you came over. But I had the theory that because Overwatch was used to just have so much stringent and strenuous practice, as well as like the grind after the practice and scrim hours, that Overwatch players were just like selected for a grind, and that would be immensely beneficial in Valorant. Do you think this is something that helps up?
I think the practice structure with Overwatch and like the amount of hours, like you said, like you have teams scrimming like 6 hours a day, and then players like literally right after scrims are just hopping into ranked for like another six. Like you have people playing the entire day. I think like that type of hours, like a lot of Valorant teams are like doing the exact same thing. Like you have players scrimming, but maybe not six. People are scrimming like maybe 4 hours. Before scrims they're playing ranked. After scrims they're playing ranked. It's like the same type of thing. So yeah, I definitely think like Overwatch player type structure where you're doing that could definitely carry over. And it's pretty much like you're already practicing to play for the exact same structure for Valorant.
Right. Now, I guess especially in the later parts of your career, I I think it's unfair to still call Overwatch a live service game in terms of like the content injections and the stuff that you could expect to regularly change. Even though we had pretty massive changes, it just felt like it was less of a trickle and more like, okay, here's like a completely fundamental change, like roll lock coming in.
Yeah.
What is it like as from a pro player experience to play in a game where frequent content injections might just like alter the meta?
Yeah, with Overwatch, it's like you kind of watch like as it goes on, like the patches were taking like a lot longer. Things are like it becomes more stale. Like you had like goats being meta for like a whole year, right? And it's just like sometimes you have it where there's like absolutely no change. But with like Valorant right now, like they're if you're like fully familiar with their content map, they have it like cut up into episodes and acts, right? And like every couple acts they release like a new map or they release a new agent. And every time they release like a new agent, like Neon, for example, came out like what, literally like yesterday. And the game's like ranked is playing absolutely completely crazy different. Like you have Neon being added, like 3 weapons got buffed, 1 weapon got nerfed, 2 maps are like changed. Well, Breeze specifically is changed like crazy, and Bind has a little bit of a change. So you're definitely like relearning how you play maps. Like Breeze coming out, now you have way different angles you have to play. Like I have to completely relearn how to play like around the A site. Like if I'm peeking left side of A site, like on the 2 pyramids, and I'm peeking to fight the guy bridge, now there's a big yellow box there, and I could be getting fought by somebody on the top of the yellow box. Or say if I'm playing defense and I'm playing stairs and I want to keep spam closing the door, like now I can't just close the door. And if somebody goes halls, I actually have to be playing halls to stop them from just opening the door. Like it changes how you have to play the map. And I think for like content stuff for in general, like just with the game, like they're adding content to the game. But like for content creators too, like people that are making content like streaming, like when these big content like patches come out, people are getting more viewership. Like the actual like content that people are creating for the game goes up as well. Like people are drawn into the game when the new content comes out. People want to watch, people want to play. So you have like the content creators like benefiting off of that. And it's like the community keeps like building, people are more interested. And yeah, definitely I'd say like it's very fun to be able to like go in and relearn the meta. But I mean there's some changes that are like some people are just like how did this even go through? Like, a lot of people right now are complaining about the Ares. I don't know if you've seen the Ares buff, but they basically made the fire rate way faster, and you no longer have to wait for it to, like, charge up to shoot. So in Radiant, like, not Radiant because everybody's Diamond right now, like Diamond and Immortal replacements. Like, I've had games where you play round 1, win pistol, you buy an Ares, everybody on the other team lost pistol, and they also have Ares. Everybody's just it's 5v5 Ares DM right now. Like, it's just absolutely random. Like, it's really fun because like people just like limit test to the moon. Like, how much value can I get out of the Ares? Or like, say the Guardian and the Bulldog got buffed too. Like, people are trying to limit test like all those guns, but like obviously it doesn't always end up being like this. Like, you have this short like burst where it's like everybody's doing like the craziest things, and then afterwards it kind of settles down a little bit. But you definitely have like really like big windows of just like lots of like really like enjoyable and randomness.
Do you think the Ares will need some sort of additional adjustment, or do you think this will just come down and once the limit
I
testing is over?
I think the Ares didn't even need a buff. I was surprised the Ares got buffed.
Yeah.
But I mean, a lot of people before this buff were pretty much just exclusively using the Ares to like wall bang, like on Ascent, for example, or Breeze at A, like in shop, you can wall bang to where the orb is. That's what people were mostly using it for. So maybe it's a bit of a change to make it more of like a viable long range gun for like second round. Because like that current meta, people were only buying like the Marshall and the Spectre. Like, you weren't seeing the Bulldog really get used too much. You weren't seeing the Ares for anything other than like the Sova wallbang players, like pretty much what I said earlier. Like, everybody that is into that. So maybe just like a little bit of a dial down on the fire rate, or just add the spin back and keep the buff fire rate. I'm not really too sure, but I think it's a little bit too strong, but it's definitely not like the craziest, most OP thing ever, like the Stinger was back in the day. And I think with the Bulldog getting buffed as well, it's like I still feel like the Spectre's in a good spot. I was using it. Definitely still feels good. You're still able to beat out the Ares players. Like, if you're playing those rushes, you still want to use it. Like, you have options now. I think that's the best way to put it. You have options, but I think the Ares might be a little bit too good of an option. So maybe a little bit of a dial down on it, and then it'd be perfectly fine.
Is there anything in this patch that is just completely busted and definitely needs adjustment?
I was thinking that Neon was really like her ultimate was really stupid. Not stupid as in like it's a dumb ability, but stupid as in like the amount of like kills you can get with it and like how hard it is to like kill the Neon player is like insane. But after playing it for a bit, it's like you kind of get used to like the way she's gonna move and slide. I mean, sometimes you die to it and you feel like it's absolute just like blasphemy. Like, I should never be dying like this. But
Yeah.
I mean, then you look at it in like the grand scheme of the ability, and it's like with Jet Knives, for example, she can use it for the whole round. But with Neon ult, when she pops that ult and she like pulls her hand out and all that, she has a what's the word, like a fuel gauge pretty much like Viper, and once that wears out, it disappears. So like if you hear the Neon ult, like you have counterplay, you can just try and avoid the Neon, but it definitely isn't going to be easy to fight her. But originally, I thought that ult was absolutely broken. But after playing her a little bit and playing against her, it's like, yeah, I mean, obviously she's favored in those fights, like close range. Like, she's gonna obliterate you if you just run into her, like unless you hit that first headshot. But I mean, there's definitely counterplay. It's not too big of a deal. So other than that, I don't think there's anything like too busted. I guess I just like the Ares might be a little bit too strong, but I don't think it's like Stinger level broken. They're like original Judge like jump shotty level broken.
Do you think Neon will, in her current state, like be a meta staple going forward?
Not every map. I think you can see her getting played on like maybe like Haven, for example. Like I was people like need to fast rotate on that map. The sprint is just like really good. And there's a lot of ways that you can make plays with the firewalls on like C. Like people were playing and just fighting mid with the firewalls on defense. It's just like you throw the walls up and you just take mid control. Like I could definitely see her being played on maps where you want to take like those fast skirmishes and like where like couple second windows on like positioning and rotations are like really important. But I don't think she's going to be like a staple on every map. Definitely not. But the stun feels really good. The ult again feels really good, and the firewalls definitely have their use.
You've reached the end of the first part of our interview with ZachaREEE. And for the second part, we talked to him about his personal experiences in the first year of Valorant, his switch, and sort of the contrast between playing in an open circuit against the franchised leagues like he did in Overwatch, without the gatekeepers, and pretty much having the ability to lift yourself up by your own bootstraps into the tier 1 region. We also talked to him about his current situation with FaZe and the contract there and why that might keep him from VCT, as well as his next move in his career. If you want to stay tuned to that, hit like, subscribe, and the bell notification. For all things Valorant, ZachaREEE.